Alrighty, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Virtual College Exploration for all North and South Carolina students, sponsored by the Carolinas Association of Collegiate Registrars and Admissions Officers and CACRAO, or StrifeScan. Thank you for joining us today. A few housekeeping announcements before we get started. You can use the Q&A function located at the bottom of your screen to type your questions to our presenters throughout the entire presentation. Your camera and your microphone are turned off, so our presenters cannot see or hear you. This is just one of the many different sessions happening. You can see a full schedule of sessions at CACRAO.org. That is CACRAO.org. And this presentation is being recorded and will be available within about a week at that same website at CACRAO.org. That's CACRAO.org. At this time, I'd like to turn it over to our presenters.
Perfect. Thank you, Courtney. All right, so I'm going to share my screen. I think this is the one I want to share. Yeah, okay. All right, well, hello, everyone. Welcome to UNC Charlotte's presentation. We are excited to have you. My name is Caitlin. I am one of the transfer admissions counselors here at the university, and I have with me today my colleague, Jamie Dawkins, who is going to be behind the scenes. As Courtney said, you don't have access to audio or video, but you do have access to that Q&A feature. So throughout the presentation today, Jamie's going to be behind the scenes keeping track of all the questions that are submitted. And she will definitely either answer you privately, or will also, if she feels like it's a question for the good of the group, she'll hold it to the very end, as I am going to leave some time at the end for some Q&A kind of for the entire group. So without further ado, I want to go ahead and kind of get started. There's several of you in the crowd. We're excited to have you. So with that, UNC Charlotte is North Carolina's largest transfer institution. This is something we're super excited about. So we bring in more transfer students each year than we actually do freshman students. So we have approximately a new incoming class each year of 4,000 transfer students, which means that roughly half of our student population on campus are transfer students. About 50% of our total student population, which we'll continue to break down these numbers over the next couple of slides, are transfer students. So I'm going to steal this line from Jamie because I think it's really good. But even though you as a transfer student, with us being such a large institution and having so many transfer students, even though you don't necessarily walk around campus with a big T on your forehead for transfer, you can safely assume that as you're standing in line at Starbucks or checking out a book in the campus library, that even though, like I said, you don't have that big T on your forehead, safely assume that you're amongst other transfer students, that there's a good chance someone standing in front of you or behind of you is also a transfer student. Throughout the presentation, we're going to kind of talk to you more about what the transfer experience looks like at UNC Charlotte. We're going to talk about transfer admissions requirements. And then also, I think my final message at the very end is going to just be getting involved on campus as a transfer student and what campus life is like for you all. So a little more about UNC Charlotte. We are one of 16 public institutions within the UNC system. We are designated as North Carolina's urban research university. Urban is because of our close proximity to the city of Charlotte, and research because of the opportunities we actually offer a lot of our undergraduate degree seeking students to participate in research at the university. I cannot stress enough that our close proximity to the city of Charlotte really sets us apart. Like we are not inside the city of Charlotte, but we are just outside, approximately 9 miles from the center city. And so with that, the jobs, the internships, the growth of the city of Charlotte is definitely also happening on our campus. Our campus is growing. In fact, we are the fastest growing institution within the state of North Carolina. So lots of new growth. In the last 7 years, we've built 22 new buildings. That does not even include our new University Recreation Center that has a new indoor-outdoor pool, floating walking track, and just brand new workout equipment for our students. It also does not include our new Gage Undergraduate Admissions Center, our new Hotel and Conference Center currently being built, or our new science building currently being built. So lots of growth happening on our campus. And again, that just speaks to the growth in the city of Charlotte. When we talk about jobs and internships, our University Career Center being so close to the city of Charlotte itself being that second largest banking capital within the United States, the amount of Fortune 500 companies that have a presence in the city of Charlotte, you have access as a UNC Charlotte student to all of those resources. The light rail that you're seeing on your screen right here connects us to the city of Charlotte, and it's easier to connect to the city of Charlotte than it ever has been before. So the light rail, if you're unfamiliar with it, is kind of like a New York subway, but above ground. It's an eco-friendly train. Its most northern stop on its journey does connect to our campus. It is actually owned and operated by the city of Charlotte, but again, our students get to ride the light rail. The cost of riding the light rail is actually for free. It's already factored into your tuition. So our students can ride the light rail. It comes to our campus just over 100 times a day, connecting you to the city of Charlotte for those jobs, those internship opportunities. You just want to explore the city because you're a foodie and you want to try new foods. You can ride the light rail and just connect to the city of Charlotte. And again, just definitely something that sets us apart as being so close to the city. So with that, I'm kind of continuing to break down the numbers. So I said that we're the largest transfer institution. We're designated as North Carolina's Urban Research University. We're the fastest growing. But one more stat about UNC Charlotte is that we are the second largest institution within the UNC system in terms of total student population. And that is something we're super excited about. We have 30,000 students, or just over 30,000 students strong at the university, with a good portion of that 30,000 number being our undergraduate student population, sitting at just above 24,000. Now I want to continue to break down that number, being a large institution, you being transfer students, continuing to break that down. Our campus is not only very new and modern, our campus is very diverse. So our students are coming from over 87 different countries, 49 of the 50 states. If you know anyone from Utah, feel free to send them our way. And then 40% of our student population are self-identifying as coming from a racially diverse background. And that number actually doesn't even include our additional 2,000 international students from various different ethnicities as well. So again, having this experience in college definitely sets you apart when you're going out into the workforce, having to interact with people in group project settings or living with other people from, living with other people from various different backgrounds. And then taking that out into the career field, you're going to be in a workplace setting where you are interacting with colleagues who have various different work experiences. They're also from different backgrounds. And so having that experience in college is definitely going to set you up for success in the workplace in the future. So I know 30,000 students strong. We're excited about that, but you as a transfer student, depending on where you're coming from, maybe like a North Carolina community college where it's a little bit smaller in size, 30,000 can seem like a lot. And I want to reassure you as transfer students that you're coming in at an advantage. So even though we're 30,000 students strong, I think an average classroom size of 35 is still really good. So our average classroom size 35, but definitely not going to lie to you, we do have some larger classroom spaces on our campus. So we do have some classroom spaces that are going to be 100, 200 seat classroom spaces. But keeping in mind that you as a transfer student, you're coming in with probably, if not all of our general education curriculum complete, you're coming in with a good portion of it already started. And so with that, those larger classroom spaces are going to be probably our general education classes. And that is because regardless of your major, everyone's having to take those Englishes, some sort of science. And so being a transfer student coming in with a good portion of that curriculum already done, you can expect to see this 35 average classroom space sooner rather than later. For some of our programs like architecture, even our art majors that have like their own little studio, our engineering, computer science, any of our laboratory spaces, nursing, even within that clinical setting, you definitely can expect a smaller classroom space just because of the design of the labs and the studio spaces. You can expect smaller classroom spaces, but just keeping in mind 35 is the average with a student to faculty ratio of 19:1, meaning that for every 19 students on campus, there is one faculty member to represent those 19. So I think as transfer students, like I said, you're definitely coming in at an advantage. The 35 number you can expect to see definitely kind of in your more major specific classes that you're taking your junior and senior year, you could certainly expect that 35 number at that point. All right. So getting more into kind of the academics at UNC Charlotte and the majors that we offer, UNC Charlotte offers a total of 171 majors. And so while I don't have time to go through all 171 that we offer, I do want to kind of briefly go through our 7 academic colleges, some of the more popular majors within each college, and kind of give you a fun fact about each college at UNC Charlotte. So our first college at UNC Charlotte is going to be our College of Liberal Arts and Sciences. This is our largest college at UNC Charlotte, and that is because it houses the most majors. So it is home to all of our ology majors like biology, sociology, psychology. It's also home to some other popular transfer majors like communication studies, criminal justice, as well as our meteorology program, which I think is really cool. It's not necessarily unique to UNC Charlotte, but not every school offers it. So I always like to mention that we do have a meteorology program. I follow them on Twitter. And so if I'm on campus and it starts raining and I wasn't prepared, I know exactly who is at fault, and it's our meteorology students. So anyway, with that, College of Arts and Sciences, largest college here at the university, but that is because it's home to the most majors. All right, next we have our College of Arts and Architecture. This one's a little bit more self-explanatory. It's home to our art and our architecture students. It is also home to our performing arts students, so our dance, music, and theater. One of the things that Jamie and I always like to let students know about our College of Arts and Architecture is 2 things really, that there is usually a separate application or a separate portfolio that you're submitting to these programs. So if you are interested in art or architecture, you're not only submitting our admissions application, but you are also submitting an additional portfolio to that specific department. A lot of our transfer students are really only applying for admission about a semester in advance. So if you want fall 2021, for example, most of our students are waiting until their fall 2020 grades post and then applying early January, so spring 2021, 1 semester before you start. For College of Arts and Architecture, because they have a separate portfolio and they have a separate deadline for that portfolio, a lot of those students, our transfer students, are applying a full year in advance. Art and architecture only accepts students for the fall only. So you're just keeping in mind those separate deadlines. Same thing for performing arts, so our dance, music, and theater. While they don't have a separate application, keeping in mind that after you apply for admission, those programs do typically have an audition for entrance or placement into those programs. So certainly your admissions decision letter will give you more information about your next steps as you prepare for any of our programs within the College of Art and Architecture. All right, so next we have our Belk College of Business. I'm only slightly biased towards this college, and that is because I graduated from UNC Charlotte in 2017 with my degree in business management from the Belk College of Business. That being said, never fails for Jamie and I to give a presentation, and there be at least one, if not multiple, students in the crowd interested in our Belk College of Business. I cannot speak highly enough of our Belk College of Business because it's just so close to the city of Charlotte. The opportunities that our Belk College of Business students have are just pretty endless. So internships, job opportunities, job placement when they graduate, Charlotte being such a major hub for businesses, our Belk College of Business students have some pretty unique opportunities, and it's an exciting time within our Belk College of Business. So some popular programs within this school are gonna be accounting, finance, economics, marketing, management, international business even. So lots of opportunities to explore majors within our Belk College of Business. And again, I'm only super passionate towards it because I did graduate from that Belk College of Business. Really cool opportunities. All right, next we have our Cato College of Education. Jamie's a little biased towards this one, being a College of Ed graduate herself. So the Cato College of Education, home to our special education, child and family development, which is going to be that birth through kindergarten grades there. And then, like I said, special ed, middle grades education, as well as our secondary education minor at UNC Charlotte. So lots of opportunities. One of the unique things about our Cato College of Education, any of our education programs at UNC Charlotte, one of the unique things is we're going to give you that classroom experience starting that first semester. We're not going to make you wait until that student teaching experience your senior year, which you're still going to get. But we are going to allow you to have that hands-on classroom learning experience your first semester, which I think is really cool. All right, next we have our College of Computing Informatics. This is home to all of our computer science students at UNC Charlotte. One of the unique things about our College of Computing Informatics is that UNC Charlotte is one of 6 in the nation that have our own college for our computer science students. So for any of you interested in computer science at UNC Charlotte, you are getting your own laboratory spaces, your own faculty members, and you're not having to share those with other students on campus necessarily. So at other institutions, you would find that the College of Computing, or that our computer science students would fall within either the College of Liberal Arts and Sciences or the College of Engineering. But again, at UNC Charlotte, you get your own college, which is really cool. One of 6 in the nation for that. Next, we have our College of Health and Human Services. This is home to our nursing, public health, social work majors at the university. And again, can't talk highly enough about our being so close to the city of Charlotte. The city of Charlotte itself has 2 major healthcare systems, Novant Health and Atrium Health. So, the opportunities being at UNC Charlotte, interested in nursing, those clinical opportunities being so close to those 2 healthcare systems are pretty endless for our students within the College of Health and Human Services. Last, but certainly not least, is our Lee College of Engineering. At UNC Charlotte, we have 2 types of engineering majors. We have our engineering majors as well as our engineering technology majors. The difference that we like to say between the 2 is our engineering majors are our researchers and our engineering technology majors are the implementers of that research. So depending on what you see yourself doing once when you graduate would certainly help you choose which engineering pathway you want to pursue at UNC Charlotte. But can't speak highly enough of our Lee College of Engineering either. So I know I said we had 7 academic colleges. We do have one more, and I want to spend a little bit of time talking about it. It is our University College. This is home to all of our undecided majors. There is an asterisk beside it, and that is because you cannot graduate from UNC Charlotte as an undecided student. You eventually will have to choose a major at the university. So there are 3 ways that you would find yourself in University College. And one is, you say, Caitlin, out of 171 majors, I have no idea what I want to major in, and that's totally okay. We will help you, or the University College academic advisors will actually help you narrow down your options. So they will help you with putting you through some career assessments and determining your characteristic traits and kind of the careers that kind of align with those. They may put you through some introductory courses like an intro to business or an intro to public health or an intro to engineering class to kind of help you get your feet wet in that field and decide, is this something that I want to continue to pursue, or actually I am no longer interested in that. So definitely an opportunity. Start as undecided. If you feel overwhelmed by the 171, our academic advisors are here for you to help you narrow down your options. Second way you'll find yourself in the University College is if you apply to UNC Charlotte as one of our competitive majors. So this next piece here is very important. I want to first quickly go through our competitive majors. I'll list them out, but then also know that we are going to go over them one more time throughout this presentation. So our competitive majors at UNC Charlotte are anything within our Belk College of Business, our College of Computing Informatics, our nursing program within the College of Health and Human Services, and then our engineering program within our College of Engineering. So you apply to UNC Charlotte as one of our competitive majors. We are unique in how we review admissions applications in our office. We first review your application blind of your major. Is this transfer student competitive for admission to UNC Charlotte? Like, do you meet the general admissions requirements? And if so, we then review you for your major. If you list a competitive major like mechanical engineering, we then review you for mechanical engineering. So if for some reason you are competitive for admission to the university, but not to mechanical engineering right away, we will still move forward with changing your major to undecided and move forward with admitting you to the university. So the moral of all that is, if you are sitting right now watching this presentation and you're concerned about applying to mechanical engineering as a transfer student because you're just not sure if you're competitive for admission, we encourage you to go ahead and still list that as your intended major. And again, if for some reason you're not competitive for that, we're still reviewing you for general admission to the university. All right. So third and final way you'd find yourself in the University College is if you're a current student and you're currently a nursing student, and then you decide, wait, I'm no longer interested in nursing, I want to go to mechanical engineering. There's not a whole lot of classes that intertwine between mechanical engineering and nursing. So as you transition from one major to the other, you may find that our University College academic advisor would reach out to you and say, as you transition, we're going to temporarily change your major to undecided, just kind of help you through this transition, but certainly get you back on track to pursuing this other major like mechanical engineering that you want to pursue. That being said, I know several times throughout my spiel about the University College, I mentioned academic advisors. And one of the things I want to make sure I mention before I leave this slide is, as the largest transfer institution in North Carolina, We make sure that all of our academic advisors across the university, so regardless of where your major lies and in what college on campus, all of our academic advisors are trained on transfer credit. So you coming in with 3 credit hours or 60 or more credit hours, our academic advisors will be able to see your transfer credits, be able to review them with you, and then help you pick right back up on track to degree completion and be able to advise you accordingly based off what you've already taken. So just keep in mind that all of our academic advisors trained on transfer credit. All right, next slide here, we're going to kind of get right into application requirements and you applying to UNC Charlotte. I have no idea what kind of transfer students I have in the audience today. So I have no idea when you're planning to transfer. Are you planning to transfer spring 2021, fall 2022? I have no idea, but I can promise you this, that if no matter of when you're transferring or when you're planning to transfer, it is never too early to create a Future 49er portal. The Future 49er portal is how we will honestly connect and interact with you. This is where you would go to schedule a virtual or in-person campus tour. This is where, if you have a Future 49er portal, we can see that, hey, we have a Central Piedmont Community College student and we're going to be on their campus, let's say next Thursday. This is how we will be able to reach out to you and say, hey, we're going to be at your school. We'd love for you to stop by, visit our table, put a face with your application. We'd love to meet you, answer any questions that you have. It is never too early for you to create that Future 49er portal. This is also how, if you indicate a certain major, we can start sending you information about your specific program at UNC Charlotte, how we can tell you about our specific events like our Explore Open House events, anything that we've got going on. You having a Future 49er portal is how you and us, how we both can stay informed on either end. So strongly encourage that. Now, getting down to, am I competitive for admission? Because we know that's one of your questions you probably have right now. And what we look for, Jamie and I, in the transfer review process is that you have at least 24 transferable credit hours, that you as a transfer student have at least a minimum of a 2.0 cumulative college GPA, and that you're in good academic standing at your most recently attended institution. So you're technically eligible to return to that institution. Those are the 3 minimum requirements we look for general admission to the university. Math is on there as recommended, just recommended, not necessarily required, but just keep in mind that we know as transfer students, as the largest transfer institution, some of the feedback we receive is that math is not always someone's strong suit. And so we put it on this slide because we recommend that you start completing math sooner rather than later. If you can get a college math done before transferring, that's going to help you overall in the long run. A lot of our programs, especially our competitive programs like engineering, computer science, business, they have higher level maths that typically have a sequence of math leading up to them. So the sooner you can get started on your maths, really the better off you are in terms of remaining on track to degree completion and progressing through that degree. So while college level math is not necessarily an admissions requirement I'm looking for, overall, if you can complete a math before transferring, it really is in your best benefit. Okay, so 24 hours minimum admissions requirement 2.0, and then good academic standing. If you are a transfer student in the crowd right now and you do not have or will not have 24 transferable credit hours before applying to the university, that is okay. Just keep in mind that we may have to then review your application using our freshman criteria, which is actually taking into consideration your high school performance. So we would actually look at your high school GPA and SAT or ACT test scores if you had them. So really, if you're a student and you are not going to have 24 transferable credit hours before enrolling at UNC Charlotte, we would encourage you to connect with our office, reach out to us. We're happy over the phone, in an email, happy to discuss your exact situation with you and advise you accordingly on what we think would be best for when you apply and how we would review. All right. So really want to kind of spend a little bit of time, one more time, discussing competitive majors and what those additional admissions requirements are. So the first one's going to be our Belk College of Business. They actually, what we're looking for a student applying for any of our programs in the Belk College of Business is that you have a 2.5 cumulative GPA. And we actually calculate 2 GPAs. There are 8 business progression courses. They're not an admissions requirement, but if you have attempted any of the 8 business progression courses, and you want to think those are classes like accounting 1 and 2, macro, microeconomics, statistics, calculus, those types of classes, those 8 business prereqs, you have to also, you only get 2 attempts at each of them, to get a C or better. And they calculate a separate GPA, so 2.5 cumulative GPA, and then a separate GPA within just your attempts of those 8 business progression courses. And that GPA must also be a 2.5 or higher. So that is the requirements for business. Next, we have our computer science program. This also requires a 2.5 GPA. If you've taken any kind of computer science classes, you have to have a C or better. So if you're at a North Carolina community college, think anything that has a course code of like CSC. Those are the classes we're really looking at there. And they also have a college algebra requirement. So you have to have college algebra complete for computer science admission requirements. And then just keeping in mind, again, if you're at a North Carolina community college, college algebra is equivalent to Math 171. That is what it is at the North Carolina Community College. So that's the course we're looking for. Of course, if you're not at a community college in North Carolina, if you're at another 4-year institution, you're just taking the equivalent of college algebra. All right, next we have our College of Engineering students. So this is going to be systems, electrical, civil, engineering. And so they require the 2.5 GPA as well as Calculus 1. So again, if you're a North Carolina community college student, that's going to be Math 271, that calculus requirement there. Mechanical engineering is a little more competitive than the other engineering majors at UNC Charlotte. So they require a 3.0 GPA as well as Calculus 1, which again, Math 271. And then nursing is going to be our most competitive major, probably outside of mechanical engineering, with a 3.0 GPA, and then B or better required in any of our nursing prerequisites. Again, not required that you've completed the prereqs, but if you have, B or better in those courses there. So Jamie, do we have a question for these competitive requirements?
Not necessarily for these competitive requirements, but one of the questions that's come in is about the maximum number of credits. So I know the minimum requirement is 24. What is the max number of credits we can award transfer students?
Okay, so great question. For a student coming from a North Carolina community college, the maximum number of credits we can award from your North Carolina community college is 64. So there's not necessarily a minimum, but kind of what we want to see is 24 credit hours or more, and the maximum being 64 from a North Carolina community college, keeping in mind that if you do have more than 64, we are going to transfer the 64 that are most beneficial towards your intended major. So if you want Belk College of Business, we're going to take the 64 credit hours that are going to be most beneficial to your major within the Belk College of Business, right? And then the 64 does not necessarily apply to any 4-year institution credits that you're transferring with. So if you've attended another 4-year institution, the 64 credit hour rule does not necessarily apply to those. Does that help, Jamie?
Yeah, I was going to say, so generally speaking, we try to be pretty flexible with our transfer credit rules. I know Caitlin's going to talk more about that coming down the road. But as she mentioned, 64 hours is the max we can accept from a community college. But if you're coming from a 4-year school, we can award any transferable coursework that you've completed. So just keep that in mind. It really depends upon where it's coming from. I think you're going to address this on the next slide, so remind me. But another question that came in was about how long it takes to hear back from admissions after applying. I know that that's coming up in a second. So before we get to that, can you talk more about whether or not there's a limit to the attempts at nursing classes? So can you expand upon that just a bit?
Yes. So for nursing, you only get one retake, one reattempt at a nursing class. So again, B's are better in all of the science nursing prereqs. So if you're taking like anatomy and physiology, 1 and 2, microbiology, the chemistries, you only get an opportunity to earn 1 C and you get 1 retake. That's it. Keeping in mind that it also depends on how your credit is showing up on the transcript. So if you're taking a 4 credit hour anatomy and physiology class, so let's say, the lab, basically it's a 3 credit hour class and the lab, but they're only listed as 1 line item on the transcript. So it's just it's just anatomy and physiology 1, whatever your grade is, and 4 credit hours. If you get a C in a 4 credit hour class, that counts as your 2 attempts. So that right there alone would make you no longer eligible for admission to our nursing program. Now, if you get a B in the lab and a C in the class, or a B in the class and a C in the lab, and the lab is listed separately, then you could retake either the lab or the class, and that's your 1 retake I guess, allotment there. So just keeping in mind that you do get, only one kind of retake. And I don't know, Jamie, if there's anything else you want to add to that.
Yeah, nursing is just going to be competitive across the board at UNC Charlotte and be in other institutions as well. So if you are interested in nursing, what you want to make sure is that you're earning B's or better in your courses. In the event you earn a C in one nursing prerequisite, so in an anatomy and physiology class, in a chemistry class, in a microbiology, in any of those nursing prerequisites, I would strongly recommend you touch base with our admissions staff before applying so that we can kind of talk you through, look at that specific course and make sure you're still eligible for nursing, since they do only allow one grade in either a class or a lab that's a C. And again, that class or lab is going to have to be retaken for a B or better before being eligible for the upper division. So really you need to be earning B's or better in that first attempt to maintain your eligibility for nursing.
Perfect. Okay. Keeping in mind your question about hearing back from admissions, I am going to address that on I think this next slide here. Okay. So applying to UNC Charlotte, what does it take as a transfer student to even apply to the university? You have to first apply to the university, submit that online application. As a North Carolina transfer student, you can do so one of two ways, not both, just one. So either submitting your application through the Future 49er portal or through CFNC, which is the College Foundation of North Carolina. You could also apply there. If you're not a North Carolina student, if you're attending right now, tuning in from out of state, just keeping in mind that you would apply just on our Future 49er portal to transfer to UNC Charlotte. So you're submitting your application, you're paying your application fee of $75. You're submitting your official high school transcript and college transcripts. So I'm going to break this down a little bit further, spend some time right here on this bullet point. So official high school transcript, back to when we talked about those minimum admissions requirements of 24 hours. If you have more than 24 transferable credit hours, or if you have 24 or more, I should say, then we're not reviewing your high school transcript here for performance. We are just reviewing it as proof of high school graduation. But if you're less than 24 hours, like I said, that's when we would potentially look at your high school transcript for the performance. College transcripts, if you have attended multiple colleges, so if you've attended more than one, so let's say you attended Wake Tech and Central Piedmont, then you're submitting both college transcripts. A lot of students think they just have to submit the one that they most recently attended because their transfer credit is there. But just keep in mind that a lot of times an institution will just list the number of transfer credits they awarded you and then your current institution credits. So we actually need transcripts from all of your previously attended institutions. So high school and college transcripts will be required to complete your application. Essays, letters of recommendation are not necessarily going to be required to complete your application. However, some of our transfer students do choose to submit them. And then just know that if you are choosing to submit an essay or a letter of recommendation, they will be reviewed prior to making an admissions decision. Timeline for when your application is due. All of our 2021 applications are currently open, live, ready for you as a transfer student to begin applying. For spring 2021, our application, like I said, is open. The first deadline is going to be November 15th for your online application fee, and then your transcripts are due no later than December 1st. So you do have a little bit of time to get through to that November 15th deadline, and then some additional time to get us those transcripts. Overall, keep in mind, the sooner you can get us your application, the sooner we can get you an admissions decision. So we don't necessarily, Jamie and I don't necessarily encourage a student to wait until November 15th or December 1st to submit their application. Fall, once again, you have two deadlines, July 1, July 15th for your transcripts. So July 1 for your app and application fee, transcripts due July 15th. Summer 1 and summer 2, there is a tighter turnaround time from when these deadlines are and when the start of those semesters begin. So we can't necessarily offer you two deadlines here. Unfortunately, for summer 1, you have to have all of the items on the right-hand side, your application fee, and transcripts all in by May 1, and then summer 2 would be June 1. From the date that your application completes, meaning that we not only have your application and application fee, but we have all of the items on the right-hand side of the screen, so your transcripts as well, that completes your application. It can take our office 6 to 8 weeks to get you a decision. We try to get it to you sooner, much sooner than that, but we do ask for 6 to 8 weeks. One, because of the volume of applications that we receive, And 2, because part of our review process is really examining your transfer credits, and we'll talk about the transfer credit report that you will receive. I think it's actually on the next slide maybe, but we'll talk about that more, but we do review your transfer credits through that review process. Jamie, anything you want to add to that?
I know I saw a question in here about any possible differences for those applying from with military affiliation. In reality, there is no difference. You have the same exact deadlines, the same application materials. If you are active duty, touch base with our admissions team. We may be able to waive an application fee for active duty military folks. And then the only other thing I would say for our military affiliated students is if you have access to a joint service transcript, a JST, go ahead and have that sent with your application. There's no harm in doing so. And the other thing I would just say is to connect with our military, our family, I'm getting my words all tied here. Sorry about that. Our military services team on our campus, and they can help you navigate the usage of any kind of military benefits, educational benefits you may want to use. In terms of, I saw one other question that I wanted to quickly address was a question about a separate application for nursing. So art and architecture are the majors that require a separate application at the time you apply as a transfer student. There is an upper division nursing application, but you won't complete it until you have all of your nursing prerequisites complete. So if you're a transfer student trying to transfer straight into the upper division of our nursing program, then yes, you will do a transfer application through admissions and the supplemental upper division nursing application through the School of Nursing. However, most of our nursing students decide to start with us pre-nursing, finish some of their prerequisites with us, and then complete the secondary upper division nursing application once they've been admitted and completed their prerequisites on campus. And that is for our BSN program.
Okay.
The deadline, oh, sorry, Caitlin, one more just came in. The deadline for School of Architecture, they actually have various deadlines. And so this is one of those things where Caitlin was mentioning it's really critical that you apply early, just in an effort to hit those earlier deadlines. So this year, the School of Architecture's deadline, there is one on November 1st. There is one on December 1st, and then there's one on February 1st. So November 1st is their early action, their priority review deadline. Their standard review deadline is December 1st for architecture, and then their final review option is February 1st for architecture. The School of Nursing upper division applications also have earlier deadlines, and you can definitely reach out to us via email if you want some specifics on that.
Perfect. Great info, Jamie.
All right, Caitlin, we should be good to go on to our next topic.
Okay. All right, so next topic is that just transfer resources that we offer to you. So as the largest transfer institution, I think outside of how do I start, where do I apply, I think the next popular question we get is how do my credits transfer? So we want to kind of go over really quickly in the next few minutes, giving you an opportunity to understand some of the resources we've created for you to understand in advance of applying how your credits transfer. So all of the information I've covered today, all of our admissions requirements, visit opportunities, these transfer resources are all housed on this website we're providing you with right here, admissions.uncc.edu/transfers. Best website you can visit. So transfer resources are all housed here, as well as the admissions requirements. Transfer Credit Advisor Tool is the first thing I want to talk about. This is an online database of classes that have previously transferred from your specific institution to UNC Charlotte. For our North Carolina community colleges, this list is exhaustive. So if you have a class from a North Carolina community college that is not on our Transfer Credit Advisor Tool, you can safely assume that it does not transfer to UNC Charlotte. Okay, so Transfer Credit Advisor Tool, extensive list for other schools. So if you're going from a North Carolina 4-year institution or even an out-of-state institution, the Transfer Credit Advisor Tool is going to give you hopefully a good list of classes that have previously transferred, but just know for other institutions, not a North Carolina community college, we can only update this Transfer Credit Advisor Tool every time that we receive a transcript from that institution. So basically you would select from the drop-down menu, the state that you're completing those credits in, and then the institution. And then you would see a list, and kind of on the left-hand side of the screen, it gives you what the course would be at your current institution. And on the right-hand side, it would then show you how that class transfers to UNC Charlotte. So you can kind of know in advance if we're going to give you elective credit, if we're going to give you a specific course credit. A really cool tool to kind of show you in advance how your credits transfer to the university. Next is if you're a transfer student in the audience today and you're like, I'm going to spend some additional time at my either current institution or my community college, whichever one, and I want to know what kind of classes I can take that will not only transfer, but will also be meaningful toward my intended major. So major of nursing, biology, communication studies, whatever it be, we have created what we consider to be transfer guides and degree pathways. These, like I said, both items can be found on this transfer admissions website. But transfer guides, there's one for our general education curriculum. There is one for, like I said, any of those majors within any of those colleges. So you'll click on like College of Arts and Sciences if you want biology, communication studies, business, you click on the Belk College of Business, and it's going to give you an overview of the transfer admissions requirements. And it's also going to give you an idea of the types of classes that we would recommend you take before transferring. By no means are the classes listed there required for admission, right? So accounting 1 for business is not required for admission, but if you want an opportunity to take some classes that again would not only transfer, but also be meaningful toward your intended degree, we've created these transfer guides and baccalaureate degree plans as well for you to then kind of make that easier, that smooth transition with some classes that will transfer. So we do have transfer guides for both North Carolina community college students, as well as students attending other four-year institutions, just to kind of recommend the types of classes you can take. Last, but again, certainly not least, is our transfer credit report. So again, upon applying to UNC Charlotte, part of the reason it takes us a little bit of time to get back to you is because part of our review process is really line by line examining your transfer credits and how they transfer to UNC Charlotte. So that way, upon receiving your decision letter, if accepted, you're receiving that transfer credit report. Overall, if you have a question about do my credits transfer and it's not on the transfer credit advisor tool, keep in mind our 3 rules of thumb. You had to have earned a C or better in the class. It cannot be remedial or technical in nature. The class itself cannot be. And then you had to have completed it at a regionally accredited institution. If you call Jamie or I and you're like, does this class transfer? Those are kind of the 3 things in our head we're thinking as we're trying to decide if your credit transfers to the university. All right, so going to really quickly breeze through these last couple slides here as it is 12:41, so we only have about 4 more minutes with you all. Tuition and fees at UNC Charlotte for a full-time student for a full academic year. The approximate cost of tuition at UNC Charlotte is going to be around $7,000. The cost of living on campus and meal plans can go up or down, and that is because we have a lot of options to choose from. So we have 18 total residence halls here at UNC Charlotte. We talked very early on about how new and modern our campus is. All of our housing options have either been recently built or recently renovated. We have approximately 550 transfer students living on our campus each year. And some of our more popular residence halls amongst our transfer students are going to be definitely Witherspoon and Martin Hall because they are apartment styles. Jamie, I know you just got a question about on campus or off campus, but because of time's sake, I'm going to keep going. So with on-campus housing, keeping in mind how to offset the cost of living on campus and even just attending UNC Charlotte for tuition and fees purposes, the best way to offset that cost is going to be financial aid and scholarships. FAFSA form opened October 1st. Fill it out. It is never too early to fill that form out. If you're applying for spring 2021, you're sending us not only the 2020, 2021 FAFSA, but also the 2021, 2022 FAFSA. So it's never too early to fill that FAFSA form. Get it here. It can sit on file until we receive your application. And when you apply, they'll both match. And that way that's out of the way. Scholarships at UNC Charlotte. You're building your Niner Scholars portal profile. So Niner Scholars. So scholarships.unc.edu is where you can find our Niner Scholars portal. All of our merit and need-based scholarships are all housed in this portal here. So again, basically you would apply to UNC Charlotte. You do not have to be an admitted student to be eligible to apply to scholarships at the university. So you can basically start your application, finish your application, then turn your attention to scholarships at the university. You're building that profile. It's matching you to scholarships that you can then look to then start applying to them. And then last little bit here, if you're a student that you've been accepted, all of our enrollment next steps are posted on our website. So feel free that admissions.unc.edu/transfers gives you your enrollment next steps for fall or spring. And then campus life, 400 student organizations or more, 50 club and intramural sports teams. I can't stress to you enough, as a transfer student, the best thing for you is just to get involved on campus. We have lots for you to do, study abroad opportunities, so just get involved. And then as Courtney wraps us up here, I just want to give you an opportunity to kind of jot down or screenshot our contact information. We are excited to connect with you. Feel free to reach out to Jamie, myself, our transfer admissions team. We're here for you throughout this process.
Awesome. Thank you so much for a great and thorough presentation. So I'll give everyone a moment to write down that information before I share my screen again. Awesome. So thank you to everyone who attended today, and thank you so much to our presenters. Students, when you close this window, there will be a link to a very quick 4-question survey. We would greatly appreciate your feedback on this programming. Also, this is just one of the many sessions being hosted, so be sure to sign up for additional sessions at CACRAO.org. That is CACRAO.org. And in about a week, you'll be able to find this session's recording as well as other session recordings on that same website at CACRAO.org. Thank you, everyone. Have a great day.